Therewith the great slayer of Argos departed. But the lady nymph went on her way to the great-hearted Odysseus, when she had heard the message of Zeus. And there she found him sitting on the shore, and his eyes were never dry of tears, and his sweet life was ebbing away as he mourned for his return. For the nymph no more found favor in his sight, howsoever by night he would sleep by her, as needs he must, in the hollow caves, unwilling lover by a willing lady. And in the daytime he would sit on the rocks and on the beach, straining his soul with tears and groans and griefs. And through his tears he would look wistfully over the unharvested deep. So standing near him, that fair-haired goddess spake to him, Hapless man, sorrow no more, I pray thee, in this isle, nor let thy good life waste away. For even now I will send thee hence with all my heart. Nay, arise and cut long beams, and fashion a wide raft with the axe, and lay deckings high thereupon, that it may bear thee over the misty deep. And I will place thee therein bread and water, and red wine to thy heart's desire, to keep hunger far away. And I will put raiment on thee, and send a fair guile in thy wake, that thou mayest come all unharmed to thine own country, if indeed it be the good pleasure of the gods who hold wide heaven, who are stronger than I am both to will and to do. So she spake, and the steadfast goodly Odysseus shuddered, and uttering his voice spake to her winged words. Herein, goddess, thou hast plainly some other thought, and in no wise my furtherance, for that thou biddest me to cross in a raft the great gulf of the sea so dread and difficult, which not even the swift gallant ships pass over rejoicing in the breeze of Zeus. Nor would I go aboard a raft to displeasure thee, unless thou wilt deign, O goddess, to swear great oath not to plan any hidden guile to mine own hurt. Well, we finally get the first words of Odysseus. 74 episodes into our show. We got a game of telephone going on from Athena to Zeus to Hermes to Calypso, and Calypso to Odysseus, telling him that you can go home now. And she tells him, take the axe, make a raft, and head on out. And I will do what I can. I'll give you a little gentle breeze to push you on your way, and you will arrive back home unharmed. But Odysseus is skeptical to the point of paranoia, almost. I'm a little conflicted because it does seem like Calypso has done what she can to make sure that Odysseus has been unharmed to this point. She just has, kept him there. But also, has she? I mean, she has, I think. But there's missing information here. And let me see if I can figure this out loud. Go on this journey with me, if you will. We've got two characters. Let's just say Calypso and Odysseus. Okay. They each have their own perspective. But both of those perspectives are governed by the perspective that Homer, or whoever's telling the story, the collective of Homer, is providing us. This is one of those weird things where you can kind of not pay attention to what ultimate message is coming out by the author's intentions if they aren't super clear about it. I'm saying that more through a modern lens. I don't think back in the ancient times there would have been quite so much of an agenda that anyone was pushing. Maybe not. I don't know. But there's a line here. It's saying that Odysseus is just out there on the shore every day, crying and grieving. But there are a couple lines here I just want to really focus on to see what this is saying about the situation. Is Calypso a villain, if you want to put it very simply, for keeping Odysseus here, even though she has made the case of making sure that he was saved, brought to her island safely, unharmed? She's taking care of him while he's there. And that it says here that watching Odysseus on the shore, his eyes were never dry of tears, ... For the nymph no more found favor in his sight. So is that to indicate that she had favor in his sight at some point, that he did look on her as someone to be thankful for? I don't know exactly how to interpret that, because it goes on to say that even though he no longer favors her, he would sleep by her as needs must at nighttime. A unwilling lover by a willing lady. This tells me this is a very uneven relationship. She's still into it. He's not, if he ever was. Was he willing at any point in this, do you think? And so taking that information and comparing it to what he's actually saying here, that thou hast plainly some other thought. You're asking me to do something by taking this raft, which not even our ships could do, and that he's not going to get on this raft unless she swears by an oath, specifically, that there's not any hidden schemes to hurt him more. I don't know. What do we think that Homer is wanting us to take from this relationship between the two of them? I see Calypso as maybe not a tragic figure, maybe not a completely sympathetic character, but I understand her position much more than I was expecting to. And Odysseus, I get in terms of wanting to be home and grieving for all he's lost, and he's been away for so long. His life has essentially been stripped from him. It's, I don't think, as black and white as it maybe was at the time that this was originated. Calypso hasn't had an epithet yet, but it's interesting that Odysseus always has these epithets like great-hearted and godly and goodly, really telling us how Homer wants us to see Odysseus without having a lot of those outside of just, quote, Lady Nymph. Why does she gotta be Lady Nymph? Why can't she just be Nymph? I guess it does say the fair goddess spake to him, but I'm unsure as to whether or not fair goddess means fair looking, fair of skin, or fair in terms of like her demeanor and her soul, her whatever, her attitude. But whatever the case, and sorry if today's episode seems a little disjointed. My cat has been talking up a storm, and I've had to interrupt my thought process like 6 times. Whatever the case, Odysseus being told you can leave now, you just have to make your own raft. Odysseus saying, I'm only going to do that if you swear by divine oath that I'm not going to come to further harm, that there's not some hidden plan waiting for me. What do we think is going to happen? There's only one way to find out, and that's to enter into the middle of Book 5 tomorrow with a little bit more of the Odyssey. Until then, okay, goodbye. Odyssey is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. The show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Odyssey, written by Homer. Theme song by Neuroflow. You can support this show and other shows like it by going to patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.